What was your favorite personality quiz? Back in 2020, especially, personality quizzes and business quizzes and using quizzes as lead magnets was a huge boom. And back then, just like everybody else, I worked on creating my own. In fact, back then I think it was the Solopreneur personality quiz. I spent a ton of time setting it up, and honestly, it kind of fell a little flat for me. But I think part of the problem there was that I was being cheap and I wasn't willing to upgrade to use some of the automated tools. I was trying to build it out myself. This is one of those times where just because you're techie and can figure out a workaround doesn't necessarily mean that you should. Sometimes you should just pay for the convenience and allow it to work the way it's meant to. So I haven't had a quiz running for a while, but I'd been kind of thinking about it in the back of my mind, which is why I was so excited when my favorite platform for quiz building reached out to me actually in my DMs to ask me if I wanted to collaborate on a video. So that's what I'm doing this week. I'm going to be building a fresh lead magnet, but it's going to have some added functionality, which I will explain to you as I build it out. Quiz using the Interact Quiz Maker. And as I always do, this is going to be my honest review. So as I build it out with you, if I see something that doesn't quite work the way that I wish it did, or maybe something that's super awesome, I'm going to call that out so that you know if it's the right fit for you. I do also want to say that they are graciously giving me access to a full paid account so that I can use all of their automated features instead of being cheap like I was before. So thank you, Interact, for offering that so I can show you guys everything that you're able to do and show you how simple it is when you just use the tools that are provided and help you decide if this is something that you want to add into your business stream right now. But before we dive into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a tutorial or upload. Okay, so let me start by explaining my thought process here, my plan. So I do want to use this quiz as a lead magnet because I know that's a big part of what quizzes are for. But as new people come into the Tech Savvy Academy, I also want to use the results of their quiz to guide them towards their best success path. So I've kind of created a little bit of a hybrid. So it'll have its purpose as a lead magnet, but it will also be, like I said, a way to help me better guide my existing students when they're new, most likely, towards their best success path. So it's going to be giving them, based on their personality result, it's going to be giving them not only specific courses that they should check out and experience, but also guide them towards some of the other features in the Academy, things like our weekly check-ins and the weekly habit challenge and monthly meetups and stuff like that, to help them find the most success, not only with the Academy, but just with their business in general. So as with everything, I'm planning my quiz in Trello. I'm going to full disclosure say that I did use Chat GPT to hone it in a little bit, but also to help me score the questions. And if you've never made a quiz like this before, you may not know what I'm talking about with that, but you'll understand when we get into Interact and see how all of that works. So my quiz itself is going to be, I might rename it. I haven't decided yet, but the business owner personality quiz is the thought right now. And I've got 4 different potential results: either the grounded grower, the clarity seeker, the creative strategist, or the intentional marketer. So I've got like details as far as like who typically fits this result, as well as you can see here, the success path items. So I've got all that stuff planned here. I also have my quiz questions in here and ready to go, so that I can add them in. And like I said, got the scoring and everything there. So we'll get to all that, but let's go into Interact because that's what you're here for. So as you can see, all of my older quizzes that I just abandoned and, always kind of regretted to a certain point. So like I said at the beginning, I'm super excited to get back into it. But we're going to just start completely from scratch with a brand new quiz. And okay, so here's one of those situations where I could generate with AI. I can clone a template like one of their existing ones. I can start from scratch. I don't really want to do this with AI right now, even though I think it's super cool that's in here. I did not know that. Probably would have saved me some time with Chat GPT. But like I have said before on the channel, when it comes to things like AI, I find that it's really, really helpful to invest time teaching a specific AI tool more about you and your business so that you don't have to like repeat yourself so much. So I am a little bit curious if their generate with AI goes to another source like ChatGPT or if it's internal. So I'm just going to click this just for a second. What's your URL? Oh, okay. So you can read your URL and use the information to create your quiz. Wow. That's interesting because that's really interesting because I wonder if I did that, what it would do. See, now you're just making me curious, guys. Okay. So let's just do, oops, gotta do the URL correctly. I'm curious what it would do because I already have my plan for the personality quiz, but like maybe this comes up with a better idea. Let's see. Do you have an idea in mind? Okay. So I could go with I have an exact quiz, but I really want to see what AI recommends. This is kind of fun. So let's do that. Here, let's just allow the cookies. Okay. What does your business do? Well, I mean, it should pull that from my website, no? I mean, assuming that my website is clear and concise. Helps solopreneurs. Actually, I'm going to throw in there female solopreneurs because it's who I typically work with the most. My goodness, I didn't think I was going to have to type so much on this. Okay, leverage knowledge and tools available like email marketing and Trello to streamline and simplify their business. Okay, let's just go from there. I mean, obviously I do more than that, but I just want to see what it's going to do with this. Okay, common problem you help customers solve. Gosh, there's a number of them, but I'm just going to go with overwhelmed learning new technology. There's a lot of things I could put here. Okay, top quiz title recommendations. Okay, I'm not really sure this would do a whole lot for me. Okay, how tech savvy are you in managing your business? Which tech tools should you prioritize? Ooh, that's interesting. Is tech overwhelm holding you back? Find your tech toolkit. Oh my gosh. Now, see, I shouldn't have done this because now I'm interested in a lot of these. Oh, crud. I had a whole other thing planned for this video. Okay, let's do... I kind of like this one. I'm really curious where it's going to go with that. Okay, so I'm going to go with that one. I'm assuming I can customize, yes, theme later. Okay, cool. Cover and then questions. Yeah, okay. All right, that works for now. What do you want your quiz to do? I'm going to go with this one only because I don't really see how it would be a personality. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. Okay. No, have AI let's just see what happens if AI does everything. Number of questions. I'm going to go with 6 questions. Are there specific topics or audiences you want your quiz to address? Okay. The quiz should focus on affordable software and online tools that most small business owners need to run an efficient business. I don't know. Let's see. Wasn't I logged in already? Thought I was. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm really excited about this. So we'll see what this does. We'll look at it for a minute. I'm gonna probably save it on the side and maybe do something with it on my own, but then we'll go back and build out the quiz that I was intending to do here, just so that you guys can see how it is to build your own quiz. In fact, while it's doing that, why don't we come back here? Let's go find a template for our personality quiz. So let's go with entrepreneurship. We can see that's still going over here. Okay. Which type of CRM? No. What's your type of project manager? No. What is your teaching style? Is maybe close. core values. Oh, these are good quiz ideas, guys. I don't know who comes up with these templates, but there's some good ones. Next, side hustle, best-selling brand voice. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one only because it's closer. I only have 6 questions, but it's much closer to what I planned to build. Okay. Yeah, this is good. Okay. Okay, we're popping back over here. Sorry, don't mean to jump around so much, but I don't want to waste your time doing stuff too slowly either. So, okay, let's check out the quiz. I want to see what they built for us. What tech tools should you prioritize? Discover the essential tech tool. Okay, so obviously I'd have to rewrite all that and rebrand it and everything. That's fine. How confident are you in using new tech tools for your business? Curious but unsure, comfortable but hesitant, confident, excited, lost and overwhelmed. Okay, so I'm going to go with that one. How often do you integrate new software into your business processes? Oh, gosh, more often than I should. I'm going to go with occasionally because that's what I would recommend. Okay, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to learning new technology? I would say I'm going to go with keeping up with. These are good response options, though. How do you handle tech-related issues in your business? Well, so I always troubleshoot. I love this option. I just hope it resolves itself. Wouldn't that be nice? I know a lot of people who probably do that, and I don't think it works very well for them because the amount of times that it resolves itself is pretty minimal. I wish this was my answer. This should be my answer, but it's not. The real answer is that. Which of the following best describes your approach to tech tools? I embrace them. Oh, I am passionate about them, yes. What do you think is missing in your quest to streamline your business with tech? I'm going to say this one, but I do like a lot of these other responses. Okay. What? Okay, see, this is why, guys, this is yet another reminder why you don't just let AI do everything for you. Because the way that I responded to those questions, I don't think should lead to a result of a tech novice. I mean, just the one question that it asked about how I typically approach a problem or an issue, the fact that I try to troubleshoot it myself, like that's not a novice approach typically. So what that tells me is that I don't agree with their scoring. So, but this is interesting, and I do really like this concept for a quiz. So I'm glad I created this. I highly recommend if you're like kind of wanting to do a quiz that you try this out and answer the questions as clearly as possible and see what it builds for you, because at minimum, this is inspiring me and giving me some ideas. So I like that. But let's go back to the one that I'm actually going to build for myself. I'm not going to worry too much about updating all the images and stuff because I don't really have that prepped in mind, but I will do a few things just to update the branding. Oh, you know what? Let me grab my brand colors real quick. Okay, so let's grab a couple of things here. That might be too dark. Let's go with a lighter one for the background because I don't want it to be too, yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Option. So they did another light color here. So let's do like in between a little bit. Okay. Selection for this one, I'm going to do my gray accent color. The progress bar. I guess I don't want it to be like all one color theme. So let's do that. And then for the button. So this part's pretty straightforward. You just need to grab your brand colors, which hopefully you know what they are and you have them in Canva or something. And you could just easily grab them and bring them in. And then from what I remember, because like I said, I have used this tool before, but it has been a while. From what I remember, it will apply all this branding all the way through. So it should be good to go there. So then here, I'm just going to come in here and say, what's your business owner personality? Okay. And then I can change the cover image, and I'm pretty sure, oh wait, I want to replace the image. I feel like you can search here, yeah. But then you can also upload and link a URL too. But I wouldn't recommend linking a URL because unless you're hosting it yourself, if it moves or something, it'll break, and that's just maintenance that you don't want to have to do. So really, I would just recommend that you upload your own image. Let's see, where are all of my things? I have way too much going on here. Oh boy, too many choices. Let's just go with this. I don't even know for sure which one this is, but let's just go ahead and upload it. It doesn't honestly need to be you. I'm only grabbing that because I know it's going to be a high-res, good quality photo. I'd probably end up using like a stock photo for something like this, but let's go ahead and put that in there. And then I don't know if I can't remember if I wrote something for that. Did I? Oh, I don't remember. Well, we'll just leave that blank for now because really it's just a matter of clicking in here. I love how all the editing is inline editing. That's fantastic. Oh, let's also update the font. Okay. So yeah, I love that you have all this clean inline editing. It makes it super easy so that you're not like having to, because some of these types of builders have like you click into it and then it opens up a panel over here, and then this is so much easier. Plus you can very easily see how it's going to space out, which I like. Okay, questions. So here's where it can get a little bit time consuming to have to put all your questions in. I did see somewhere, at least I think Chat GPT offered. So I don't know if that's because it's a feature in Interact or not, but where it offered that it could create like a CSV of my questions and responses, and then I could like import them. I'm not seeing though a place to import. Let's see if I click. Yeah, I'm not seeing like a way that I could import them. So I don't know. I'm going to assume that that was just Chat GPT giving me an offer that it couldn't actually meet. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm not going to do all of this. I'm just going to do a little bit just so that you can see. I'll do one question for each just so you can see how it works, and then I'll show you how that scoring that I was talking about, how you set that up. Okay, so we've gone ahead and pasted our question in here. You could put an image here. I honestly feel like unless you have like a really specific image that you want to do for each of your questions, I would just leave them without images. So don't feel like you need to find a way to throw in an image just to make it more interesting. You should make it interesting by asking questions that are super relevant to your audience and honestly putting as much of your personality into the responses. Because like when I was doing the one that AI set up, how I kind of like laughed at some of the result options that it was giving me, right? So like you want to keep them entertained in that way. Like I said, if you have images in mind, then great. But if you don't, like, it's not a big issue, in my opinion. Okay, so let's come in here. Let's just grab the result, or not the result, the options here. Oops. And then, and you can see here in my plan how I've got the mappings, right, of who that points to, like what personality type that answer would point to. And then it will set up, like the way Interact works, it's going to do all of the scoring itself. So I've got all my answers in there. And now here's where it says edit result correlations. Now, I may have a problem because I didn't set up my results yet. Yeah, so I didn't set up my results yet. So one thing that I'm loving at the moment is that it's auto-saving because I'm about to like click around and it's nice to know that it already saved it, so I'm not going to lose what I just did. Okay, so results. So here are the results options. I'm just going to throw in the names of the options just so that we can do the mapping really quick. So this one is this one. I know I'm going kind of fast. Sorry about that, but honestly, you'd be bored if I did this super slow. So if I did something too fast, just remember this is not a tutorial. Let's just put it that way. If you guys want more of a tutorial, then let me know and I'll do one. But as far as like just seeing how this works, that's why I'm going kind of fast. So apologies. Okay, and then we've got this one. Here's the one place where, in my opinion, the image is the most important, because now you're talking about a result. You're talking about wanting them to feel like they see themselves in the response. So I feel like you want to be careful having images here that, like, you see a face, because people are obviously not going to see themselves in someone else's face. But if you can bring in an image that has a vibe that they're going to connect to in relation to what their result was, I feel like, again, my opinion, but I feel like that goes a long way in helping them to, like, really connect with your quiz and then ultimately your business. Okay, so now that we have that set up with results, we can go in here and edit the results correlations. So my first answer, I'm trying to figure out where to even start. Now, which one was that meant to map to? Trying to figure out where to start. That goes to Clarity Seeker. So I think we just grab and, okay, just kidding, we don't. Oh, we can, there we go. Okay, did you see how I did that? That was actually not super intuitive, but, oh, because maybe I should have read. Click any answer below to modify, and then click a result. Okay, so you click on this one, and then you click on the one that it goes to over here. This is what happens when I'm talking to you guys. I go too fast, and then I don't read, and then I think something is not intuitive, and then it is actually really obvious. I have lots of ideas, but can't keep up. That's creative strategist. Okay, I'm doing okay, but I want to streamline. That goes with the grounded grower, and then that means that that is that. Okay. Oh. Oh. It looks like it can correlate to more than one thing, so I don't want that. So you want to make sure that you unclick the one unless you need it to correlate to more than one thing. Like, some answers could potentially be this or this, so it's cool that they have that. That certainly makes it a lot more complicated if you do it that way. Just make sure you know, make sure you're sure that you need it to do that. Otherwise, I would keep it simple, because the scoring, I think, would get a little bit confused otherwise. Okay. Okay, so then we would do the same thing for the rest of the questions. It looks like we can animate the checkbox. Let's preview, which I happen to know you can click this to preview your question or your quiz. I guess the whole thing you're previewing. Animate the checkbox. So, okay, hang on. So if you don't have that checked, how does that look different? I'm not totally sure. I think that maybe in the first option, I saw the check mark appear for a second, and this time I didn't. I don't know. I don't really notice. I don't understand what that was for. Branching logic. So I should not need this. Oh, we've got YouTube videos embedded. That's nice. Okay, well, we're not going to watch this right now, but that's cool. That I like that they have this kind of stuff built in for conditional logic quizzes, because they are way more complicated, as you can see just from this that's going on right here. I'm going to close this for right now, but I like that. I like that they're making that easier. Or not. I guess they're not necessarily making it easier, but they're giving you the resources. So here's where, if we were going to do branching logic, which I don't need to, but this is where I would do it. So I would say, okay, so we've got, here's our question. Create a link, click on the start node, which is this. So I like this. They have the video tutorial, but then they also have like a guided wizard. That's nice. Okay, so we click on the start node. Oh, click on the start node, connect question. Okay, so what this means for typically for conditional branching logic, what it's saying is when certain questions should or should not appear. So for example, if they answer this to this question, maybe I want to give them question C instead of question D, right? It helps you kind of hone in and get more specific information based on their previous answers. That is the purpose of conditional logic. And that's what this is doing for you, is helping you build that out. I could see it's in beta. I don't know how long it's been in beta, but I like that, and I like the fact that they're doing this as like an actual visual map as opposed to like just text, because it's really helpful, in my opinion, to see it visually and be able to follow the lines to say, yeah, okay, when they answer this, it takes them to this question or that question or whatever. So, like I said, I don't need to have a branching logic map. So I am going to turn this off and go back to like without this, which I think if I clear it and just say save, yeah, then I can go back and just turn it off. But so that's cool. So I like that. I like tools that realize like, hey, you know, this part, these questions it's straightforward. It's easy and intuitive to know when you get into the question, you type in your question, you type in the answers and stuff like that. They could potentially throw in some sort of like helper on the correlations, but it was pretty straightforward once I actually read, right? So I like, though, that when they get to something like branching logic, either because it's new or because they know it's complex, they give you 2 ways to be successful. They give you the video to watch, and then they also give you that kind of guide when you're in the actual builder. I'm curious, though, to see if I click this again. Okay, so the video doesn't come back. So that makes me wonder, what if I wanted that video back? Can I get it somewhere else? So that's a question for Interact, and also maybe a comment of like, it would be helpful if there was some place that I could find that video again in case I either accidentally clicked out of it or just needed to watch it again. Maybe it's hiding somewhere that I don't see, but just throwing that out there, it would be helpful to have the option to get back to that after the first time that you toggle that on or off. Okay, then let's look at our results. And like I said, here's where I'm not going to spend the time right now doing all of this, but you can build this out. You can show multiple results. Oh, what's this? I don't think they had this before. You're about to turn on multiple results. Setting allows you to show your quiz takers their top results. Oh, so like with Enneagram, how it's like, oh, you're primarily this, but your next result is this kind of thing. Although this will reveal multiple top results to your quiz takers, only one result will be stored alongside lead information. Well, that's cool because I don't need all of that stored on the back end. Okay, I mean, so again, this is a situation where, personal opinion, I would not turn this on unless you have fair amount of possible results. Like I only have 4, so I feel like they probably just need the one result. But if this was like a pretty complex or like an entertainment-based type thing, or like to the level of Enneagram, I could see doing this, and I think it's cool that they offer it. That's neat. Okay, so here's the part where, like I said at the beginning, how I was being cheap the last time I did this. I did not have access to lead generation, which means a opt-in wall. So it's not a paywall. You're not asking the people taking the quiz to pay you for their result, but you are capturing their email and then they get to see their result. So like I said, when I did this before, because I was being cheap about it, I didn't have access to this. And so I tried to build this like super complicated, convoluted way of kind of replicating this concept to a point. It was not foolproof at all because people could easily get around it if they clicked a different place than where I wanted them to click. Yeah, so it definitely did not work super well for me. And it was a whole lot of work for me on the back end, and yeah, just not super effective, and it broke a lot. So this is definitely a situation where if you're going to use a quiz like this for lead generation, just upgrade, just pay for it and use their tools because it is so much better. And I don't normally say that, but there are certain times when it's worth putting in the elbow grease and like keeping your overhead low. And there are other times when that elbow grease is not worth the time investment that it would take to put that in. So if you're going to do it all the way. Otherwise, there's no point. Okay. So we could choose which fields we want to include on what we're capturing from them. Really, those are the only ones that I need. And I would keep that as minimal as possible. This is kind of like a best practices thing. They've already done the effort of filling out the quiz, which, to be fair, is for them because they want to see the result. But then when you get to that layer where they're like, oh man, I already have to give more information or put in my email or whatever, you don't want to give them a bunch more information you're trying to get from them. Keep it simple. In fact, you might even just take it down to first name and not even put in their last name. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that. And then allow users to skip opt-in form. I do find it interesting that it's built in to have that, because if you allow them to skip it, I mean, I guess it helps you kind of weed out the people who are more serious, because if they do the opt-in, it's probably because they're interested in what they think you're offering or what you're telling them you're offering. And so they want to be on your email list. So it's probably good, because it probably keeps your email list, your subscriber list cleaner, because you're not going to get a lot of people that just like opt in just to get it and then unsubscribe. If they opt in, they either missed the fact that they could skip the opt-in, or they actually want your emails. So yeah, I like that. And then I would display the link to privacy policy, which, if I remember correctly, mine is, oops, my hand is in the wrong place on the keys. I want to say it's that. I don't know. It could be wrong. But, and then, yeah, I would definitely have the GDPR compliance on, because you never know where people are signing up from. And then let's see what's in the advanced settings. Oh, okay. So these are the ones that are already there. You could like reword the error that they might get if they're if it's not like a valid email or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm fine with those. Okay, edit form content. So we can change how it looks. I like that. Click to edit content. We will send you fun and infrequent. Okay, so I like that you can update all of that. I do wish that, and this is something I would just throw out there to interact, I would wish that this would automatically pull in the branding that I put on the quiz itself, because I would say that like 90% of the time, if you're building a quiz like this, especially for a business, and you're using like brand colors, you're going to want the same colors across the board. And especially, I mean, even if it's not business related and brand colors, like, why wouldn't you want this form to match the theme and vibe of the quiz you just created? So like, I would say bring all of that in here so that we don't have to do it again. So I'm going to change the button color. Oh, is this why we don't get as much flexibility here? Why don't we get as much? Okay, so that's another question that I have for you guys over at Interact. Like, why don't we have as much flexibility here? Why can't I put a hex code in here? Is it because of how or where your form is hosted? I don't know. I'd be curious to hear that. Okay, so then we do that, and then we have the skip the step option. We can see the privacy policy link. Can change what this says, I'm sure, just by typing something. Yep. Okay, but I'm going to see my results. And then the integration, this would be where you have to link it to your email list. Oh, and they have Kit, which makes me happy, because you guys know that that's what I use. But I don't have any of this ready to go right now, so I'm going to go back and I'll do that later. And then map the quiz data to your email list. Okay, so I can't do that part without connecting it into Kit yet, which I am going to do, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I love that they have so many options here. Look at all these direct integration options, and they have Zapier options. That's cool. That's great. Oops. Yeah, I like that. And then I like too that they have social share settings so that you can change how it looks if you share it on socials or if someone else does. I like that. And then the analytics, of course. This is pretty standard, using things like Pixel and Google Analytics and stuff like that. I kind of wish that it had more just like internal. Well, I guess this is for tracking, not so much analytic. Well, no, it's analytics. Like, I wonder if they have internal analytics too, or these are your only options for tracking and stuff like that. I don't know, but I'm not going to do this right now either. But I do like that it has this like easy way to connect, because honestly, Google Analytics is not so bad, but Facebook Pixel has sometimes been the bane of my existence. is, I'm not gonna lie, one of the reasons that I don't do a whole lot of marketing on Facebook anymore, because it's so temperamental and their support is not great. So yeah. Okay. So then let's just go ahead and publish, even though I'm not done. Has unpublished changes. I'm gonna go ahead and publish only because I want to see what happens next. Okay, so we've got a share link, an embed code, an announcement bar. Oh. Oh, like you can have a bar at the top of your website. Oh, that's cool. A pop-up and then a Facebook ad. Okay, cool. And then these. And then what about, oh, we do have internal analytics. I thought they did. Okay, cool. So we've got an overview. See, and just so you know, like these don't really work for you when you're cheap and you don't pay for it, because you're not going to get the conversion. Like it can tell you views and starts and stuff like that, but it's not going to give you all the analytics because it's missing that key component of like the opt-in part. So it is important. Oh, and I like that you can download that. Oh, and you could, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's cool. So this tells me which result is most popular, most common, which one is most likely to turn into an actual lead, which ones are going to just skip and just get their result, and then which ones are going to click through the CTA. Okay, that's cool. Oh, and it breaks it all the way. I thought I remembered seeing this where you can actually see the responses by question. And then advanced, what do we got here? Oh, I think this is where we would see our Google Analytics stuff, maybe? Kinda? I don't know. I mean, obviously you would see that in Google Analytics too, but okay. Maybe it's just another way of looking at some of the other charting. All right, guys. I mean, I think that as far as this kind of tool works, this kind of platform, it's really clear. It's really pretty straightforward and intuitive and easy to figure out. And in the places where it's not, where it's a little more complicated, like the conditional branching logic and all of that, they really do give you the best way to be successful by guiding you in multiple ways. As I said before, this is one of those situations where if you are going to do a quiz in your business, especially as a lead magnet, just pay for the additional features so that you can use it correctly and actually get your return on the investment of building the quiz, because that is the whole point. There's no point in building out a quiz like this only to not get new leads and not get these kinds of analytics, okay? And just really be thinking too about what is the purpose of the quiz? It shouldn't just be to capture email addresses from people. As important as that step is, it should inform the next part of that person's journey with you, whether it's to guide them towards becoming a customer, or like in my case where the quiz might be guiding them towards how to be successful when they're already in my academy and stuff like that. So you just know what your overall journey, know what your purpose is, and be intentional about it if you're going to use a tool like this. Because even though Interact makes this pretty simple to do, it still takes time to develop the quiz on your own. Even if you use the AI, like I showed you, you don't necessarily just keep how it set it up, because AI is still absolutely fallible. It's not going to get it right every time. And you want to make sure that it's tied into your philosophy for things. So it may come up with a perfectly logical or, plausible response or result, but you need to make sure that it makes sense for you and for your business and your brand and all of that. So no matter how you do it, no matter how you go about creating the quiz, it is going to be a time investment for you. Don't do that unless you're being intentional and you know where you're going with it, okay? I do want to just click through here really quick and see polls. And what is it trying to say to me there? It's something about July 1st, but oh, I don't know why it wasn't it wasn't sticking there before. Beginning July 1st, we will no longer be supporting polls and giveaways in the Interact platform. Oh, okay. Well, I'm surprised that they're still showing up here because it's after the 1st, but maybe because people still have some that are ongoing and they probably have a sunsetting period or something. Okay, well then we'll just ignore those for our purposes, because we can't do them anyways because they're going to stop supporting them. So that's what I think. I think, if you're going to do a quiz, which I think they are great for a lot of types of businesses, for others, they don't necessarily make sense. So be sure that you're being intentional about it. But I think this is a great option if you're going to do it. Now, one thing I do want to look at real quick is, they have recently updated their pricing and plans. Okay, so I was going to try to look at their pricing and plans. Let's see if we can find it online. Okay, this might be a little bit old information. 3 pricing plans: Light, Growth, and Pro. Light plan starts at $27 a month, billed annually. Growth plan is $53 a month, and the Pro plan is $125 a month. So we talk here a lot on the channel about keeping your overhead low. This is not what I would consider a low-priced platform. But again, like I said earlier, it's about your ROI, and it's not just financial ROI. You also want to think about your time investment. And if you were to try to be like me and be all cheap about it and build out your own thing, the cost of even being in the Light plan compared to how much time I wasted, no brainer. This is also the kind of thing where you might not be running a quiz like all year round. So obviously you get a discount when you pay annually, as you do with any platform. But at the same time, if you don't think you're going to run a quiz all year and you just want to do it for like a certain season and see if you can boost your lead generation, then, you pay, okay, instead of $27 a month, you pay $39. You pay a little bit more, but you have that flexibility so that you can turn it on and off as your budget dictates, as well as, when it makes sense for you to have one running in your business. So yeah, it's not going to be the cheapest tool in your tech stack, but I do think that it's worth it if, like I said, you've done your research and you've really planned and been intentional about it. Okay, so now you know what I think, but what do you think? Are you going to give this a try? Let me know in the comments. The online tools for your business do not need to be complicated and overwhelming. It's time to let it be easy. I hope you liked that video, and more importantly, that you found it helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with a fellow solopreneur. And make sure you check out the description for links to how we can connect and maybe even work together.